Hey guys, it's Spyros from the Self-Help Photographer. I'm back in the studio. It's 37 degrees out. It's gotten 40 degrees warmer, but as you can see, I'm still in a hat and a coat and it's still cold. Today I'm going to answer some more of your questions and we're going to talk about autofocusing and taking better control of autofocus on our cameras. Now the question we've got today comes from Deke Kant, and I hope I'm saying your name right. Deke wanted to know what kind of full-frame camera you should buy. He'd watched my D3200 versus the Nikon D7000 video, and we've been talking in the comments, and he was curious what would be the best full-frame SLR camera to buy. The answer to that question is a little bit complicated because you have to consider that not only do you need to buy the camera body, but you also have to buy good lenses. So while I encourage a full-frame camera, in fact I encourage Deke to look at a full-frame camera, you don't want to spend all of your money on the camera body. So for Deke, I would say the Nikon D600 would be a good full-frame camera to get, and then to save the extra money that you want to spend to get good lenses. Last week we talked about manually focusing our cameras and taking control of that focus ourselves. I hope you guys practiced like I told you to, and I want you to continue practicing with that. One of the things I forgot to show you is what the focus screens used to look like in the old cameras. You know, when you look through your camera today, you see something that looks like this. You see maybe a circle in the middle, you see a bunch of little dots or squares or something around your frame, and these are the focus points, and those are on what's called the focus screen, which is inside of your camera. Back in the film days, the focus screen was designed for you to manually focus the camera. And it had what's called a split, there were different kinds, but the one I'm going to show you here is a split center. And when the center was split, it was out of focus, which you're seeing right now. And then when you moved the lens and you focused it in, that split would come together in the circle in the center, and you would see the item in focus. Unfortunately, the SLR cameras we buy nowadays are designed primarily for autofocus, and so you don't get that split screen, which makes manually focusing your subject easier. We can still use autofocus to get better focus if manual focus isn't working for us. I encourage you, as I said, keep practicing with manual focus. But if you want to take control of autofocus, what you need to do is start taking control of the focus points in the camera. Let's take a look again at the focus screen. When you look through your viewfinder, you're going to see something like this, which is the rectangle, which is your frame, and all of your focus points in the camera. And right now, most of you are probably shooting on the default, which is the camera decides what the subject is. All of those focus points might light up. One of them is the one that blinks when the focus is locked on the subject. But did you know that on your SLR camera, you can take control and you can specify which of those points the camera will focus on when you're taking your photograph? This works differently from camera to camera. Pretty simply though, on your Canon SLR cameras, there is a button right below where your thumb rests on the back of the camera, and it's got a little icon that looks like a square with a bunch of dots in it. This is what the icon looks like right here. When you push that button, all of the focus points in your viewfinder will light up. And then when you spin the jog dial on the top of your camera, the one that's by your finger near the shutter button, those focus points will move around. And instead of having all of them lit, you'll have a single focus point lit. As you spin the dial, the focus point will move. And wherever you leave that is where the camera is going to focus. So for instance, if you're taking a photograph of a person, you're doing a portrait, and you want to make sure that the eye is in focus, you would set up your shot, and then you would move the focus point so that one of those points is resting on the eye, and then you would lock focus. Changing the focus point on your Nikon cameras is a little bit different depending upon the camera you have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link below to a couple of resources for doing that based upon the specific camera. But generally speaking, if you have one of the higher end Nikon cameras, a D7000, a D90, D600, D800, any of the full frame sensors, all you need to do is use the directional pad on the back of your camera and just move it around, and you'll see that the focus point is going to move as you move that directional pad. In fact, you can look at the focus point on your display on the back of your camera to see that. If you're shooting with a D3200, a D3100, 5100, or 5200, you need to go into the menu system and make a little bit of a change. The main point is that you want to take control of how your camera focuses. Whether you do it manually or automatically, you want to know where the focus is and that your subject is in focus. A perfect example is the snowflake ball. Every year I do this charity ball where I shoot portraits. We have a great big Christmas tree as a backdrop, and when I was shooting, I forgot to set my focus point initially, and I noticed that the camera was trying to focus on the tree. And that's no good because I wanted the people in focus. So I adjusted my focus point so that it was on the eye of my subject, refocused, and boom, I knew that I was going to get a sharp portrait because of that. That's all I've got for you guys this week. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you have any questions, email me at spyros@selfhelpphotographer.com or head over to facebook.com/selfhelpphotographer and post your question over there on my page. Don't forget to like the page while you're over there. Now, get out there, take some damn photos.